welcome back to Speed Stackin, your weekly roundup of what's happening in the Steady Stack Discord. Before we dive into the content, a little reminder that this podcast is not technically related to the project and is actually built by the community for the community. Everything we say in this podcast is purely our opinion and not meant to be financial advice, and is intended purely for entertainment and educational purposes only. So what is Speed Stackin? This podcast is meant to be a 10 to 15 minute recap of everything that's happened in the last week of the Steady Stack Discord. It's put together by Rhea, Tony, One Monomics X, Milliram, Surfergirl, Tazeki, and myself going by the Discord name Aragon Fire. We want this to be a resource for the community because we know that you can't be in the Discord all the time, and neither can we. So this week we are going to be having a separate AMA recap just because of how many value bombs that were dropped across the last week. Meaning that in this episode of the weekly recap, we're going to be having our weekly roundup, our community member spotlight, our NFT of the week, our spotlight of the week, and a little segment featuring what is coming up next week in the community, focusing mainly on what recaps we'll be looking at in the coming week, followed by our outro. So everyone say a little bit of a hi to Tony, who's obviously also here with me. How are we doing today, Tony? We feeling good? We feeling ready for this episode?
Ready to dive right in. Lots to talk about this week.
Yeah. All right. So we are diving straight in with our weekly roundup. Monday started out with an energized announcement from Ready Player H, pumping up stackers and stating that cash flow and real-life utility of NFTs are the only way to go in this market. He wrote further, quote, "The future and opportunity is brighter now than ever for Steady Stack. This is an opportunity for us to overtake the rest, highlighting how important and relevant day one utility is now more than ever." He's basically just trying to showcase that even in the bear market, this is the time for Steady Stack to shine and show that utility in an NFT project is so much more important than cool art and PFPs. On another note, whitelist forum is now open again, and the forum may be found in the How to Whitelist channel. Do note that if you have already submitted a whitelist forum application, you do not need to submit again. To date, over 500 whitelists have been awarded with thousands of applications, which Ready Player H has dropped a golden nugget in general chat, hinting around a 3,333 supply of Titan NFTs, but it is still to be determined. Ready Player H handed out at least 5 whitelists in a recent AMA and a few more in general chat during the AMA. It always pays to stay active and be around during these events because in some perplexing twist of fate, Ready Player H seems to be giving these things out kind of randomly, which is really, really funny to me because we have some people who are being really dedicated and then some that are just getting whitelist, which is unique and actually kind of fun to me. And I think it adds that aspect of wanting people to be active in chat. Obviously, this week we had some pretty crazy stuff as TUSD unpegged, sending Luna into a deep downwards dive, which Tony will bring to us more of spotlight on later in the podcast. We also have a few more Titan designs by Juice Goose revealed this week, which will be the official art later this week. And over here, I have a couple of these Titans. As I was saying, over here in the drive, we have a couple of examples of some of these NFTs that we're going to be seeing. We have this gorilla guy eating a heart with a chicken in the microwave. We have a personal favorite of mine down here at the bottom. We have this Cthulhu-esque gentleman working out, which is a personal favorite because I love to be in the gym and try and make my body better all the time, and I love to see that represented in the artwork. We have this crazy background Titan with the Christmas lights plugging in and unplugging with his name lighting up in the background. Overall, it's just some really unique and awesome artwork to see coming out of the community, and I was talking to Tony about this before we started. It's really cool because this is something that I someday will be able to own now that I am whitelisted, which is kind of crazy if I'm being fully honest. So, switching back to the me and Tony-centric cam, that is the majority of our recap for this week. We do have a new crypto gaming channel that was added to the server, but that should be all. So for the Steady Stack AMAs, like I said earlier on the podcast, we're going to be featuring them in a separate recap this week just because there were so many fire nuggets and pieces of wisdom that were handed out to us. We had Brian, Spectre, Parzival, Gunner, and Hustlepedia all did different recaps. We had one with guided meditations by Space Siren which was the first health and wellness AMA. Overall, the quality of all of these was unparalleled, so we didn't want to just try and squish it into a 5 to 8 minute segment. So with that said, we're moving on to the community member spotlight. Give me 1 second to breathe, my bad. So this week's spotlight is going to be on Jandro. Did I say that right? I think it's Jandro? Yeah. The head of the AMA team. Jandro has done an amazing job setting up and organized the AMAs for this week and already has next week a couple of bangers set up for next week. Also, shout out to Muhammad Ali, who is a great co-host and works magic behind the scenes. They both have been working tirelessly for us all, and we are endlessly grateful because they are the ones who are bringing endless value to this community and keep just pounding that into us, So next time you see them in chat, make sure to tell them thank you and to keep doing the good work that they're doing. So with that, I think we're moving on to the NFT of the week. So I'm going to hand it over to Tony. So take it away, Miss Tony.
All right, so I'm about to serve you some Azuki tea while it's piping hot. We all know Azuki here. It's one of the bigger blue chip projects in the space. So around Monday, it actually came to surface that one of the co-founders of Azuki, Zagabond, was part of 3 rug pull projects prior to Azuki. So these 3 projects were called CryptoFunks, Tendies, and CryptoZunks. The aftermath of the news caused Azuki to drop around 50% below its floor price. So it went from a floor price of around 20 Ether to all the way down to about a little below 10 Ether. So since the news, Zagabond has released a blog post essentially stating that the 3 failed projects prior to actually led to the ultimate success of Azuki. Now, the CryptoFunks and the CryptoZunks were pretty much derivatives of the blue chip project CryptoPunks. It's kind of a little tongue twister there, which I'm sure all of you have heard of CryptoPunks, right? So CryptoFunks was based around a fictional character named Philip. I believe he was like an intern or something. So I don't know. He had a story. And Zagabond stated that the CryptoFunks essentially taught them the importance of storytelling. So what they are pretty much saying is that Philip actually inspired the story of Bobu the bean farmer, which I'm sure many of you have heard of as well. Tendies was pretty much a meme project and was following the footsteps of the project. And pardon my French here, but my fucking pickle, which I'm sure a lot more of the veterans in the NFT space have heard of. Tendies was probably the biggest failed project of the 3, as only 15% of the project had minted. What Tendies taught Zagabond is the importance of original ideas rather than chasing a short-lived meta. Now, what was interesting about CryptoZunks was that the minting process was actually very unique. The mint was essentially like a slot machine feature where you could keep re-rolling for different traits until you landed on something you preferred, as shown on the screen over here. It was sort of gambling in a sense, as you could re-roll and get a much less rarer NFT. What CryptoZunks taught Zagabond is that no matter how great the project is, the space is looking for new universes, a strong sense of purpose well beyond just rare traits, and a unique experience in gas optimization. Now, some people are saying that just because the founder leaves a sinking ship, it doesn't mean it's entirely a rug pull. It's just a failed business. Zagabond, being the entrepreneur that he is, just went on to develop the next big thing until it worked out for him. But on the flip side, some people are saying that Zagabond never really tried to connect with the other 3 projects' communities much, which showed that it was a rug pull from the get-go. Since the news, Azuki's floor price has slowly been creeping back up. I think it was around like 13 Ether. And I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are, but it seems like Zagabond is sticking around and fighting for this project to succeed. But it could all just be an extremely slow rug. Or not, who knows? Now I'll be moving on to cover the spotlight of the week, which you all know. I think Aragon mentioned before it was about Terra. So I'm just going to dive right in. And, I'm sure most of you have heard of the news, right? Luna had a major crash this past week. The crash for Luna actually comes from its link to a stable coin. So its linked stable coin is called UST. UST is operated via computer codes that help maintain its price equilibrium by burning or minting either Luna or UST to maintain its price. How it works is when a UST is minted, $1 of Luna is burned, and vice versa. So when UST threatened to go below its peg, holders will burn their UST for $1 of Luna. This will basically keep on going until the UST rises above $1. And then the reverse will happen, and it'll kind of keep going back and forth to keep the system in equilibrium. So essentially what happened is a ton of UST was dumped, which caused it to depeg, which led to more UST being sold off and more Luna being minted. More Luna being minted means that the overall circulation of Luna increased. This basically caused the price of Luna to crash. So on Tuesday, 1.2 billion UST was burned and around 46 million Luna was minted. The circulation of Luna started to increase even more so on the Wednesday and Thursday, which caused the price to plunge down even further throughout the week. There is now a whopping 7.1 trillion Luna. And just to put that into context, the circulating supply prior to everything going down was only 343 million. So that's a crazy jump, right? Many people did not see that coming. Now, the Luna Foundation Guard tried purchasing Bitcoin to save the UST from depegging, but it didn't make the situation any better. Many crypto exchanges then went on to either delist or suspend trading on both Luna and UST. I think exchanges such as Binance, Binance was the big one. That was the big headliner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Coinbase, I wasn't able to do anything on Coinbase. A little curious as well. But yeah, so moving back, so Luna, in the past has hit all-time highs of 119 in the past, but it's now fallen way below 1 cent.
I mean, you can see this chart here. It's, oh my God. It's a mess. Yeah. Went from 86 to literally 0.003 in the space of a couple days. It is possibly the biggest crypto crash of any individual currency that has ever happened. I think it is.
I think it is, yeah, for sure. But it's sort of making a slight little comeback. Not really, but a slight. So since dropping to a low of a market cap around 58 million, the market cap is now bounced back to the billions range. So I think what surfaced recently, this was probably yesterday, but Do Kwon, who is the founder of Luna, released his Terra Luna revival plan, which is essentially to fork the Luna prior to the depegging of the UST. So what this will do is decrease the supply of Luna from 7.1 trillion down to 1 billion. So essentially, UST will cease to exist, and the new Luna will get redistributed amongst Luna and UST holders. How this will be distributed is 40% of the new Luna will go to holders of the Luna prior to the UST depegging. Another 40% will go to UST holders at the time of the new network upgrade. 10% will go to the community fund, and 10% will go to the current old Luna holders. Will Luna recover from this? I honestly don't know, but I feel the whole debacle has left a sour taste in the crypto community's mouth. So
very much so.
Who knows where this will go? I do know some people who did capitalize on it these past few days, as it did like a little micro jump. People were able to make like 200%. So major props to them. It was a bit too much of a risky play for me, but props to them. Now I will pass it off to Aragon to take it away with what's coming up for the next week.
And one last thing about this Terra Luna thing, I think it has left the entire community a little bit shocked and appalled, because quite frankly, no one thought that anything like this could even happen. Like, we thought we were into a more mature era of crypto, and that has kind of been proven wrong, in that huge debacles like this can definitely still happen, and there were people showing that they had millions of dollars erased overnight, which is really tough and really sad to see, because we quite literally went from, I think it was at like a $25 billion market cap to, I think it's at 1.4 billion now. That's an absurd collapse. That's unheard of. But yes. So coming up next week, we have a bunch of AMAs next week, starting out with a banger. Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Dr. JPEG has a possible appearance alongside Felix from Spectre on, I believe it's a Twitter space, right? It's a Twitter space that's going to be taking place on. So yeah, so we'll probably be seeing a Twitter space for the two of them on Ready Player H or Zanshake's page. Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Privacy Smurf will be talking about Trading 101, which is really exciting for me personally because I'm trying to learn more about trading and kind of the space. I actually did a lot of research and learning over the weekend. And then Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Litz How will be talking about how to sell ice to an Eskimo, which I assume will just be like the ultimate sales course, which is going to be really interesting. And I want to be there for that one purely off of the name. So that's kind of what we got coming up in this next week. And from there, Tony, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up? I think we're to our outro and almost ready to roll out for this week.
I think you just about covered everything. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of the Speed Stackin weekly recap. Once again, this project is by the community for the community. So if you guys want to reach out to us with any edits on these videos or people that you want to have shouted out in the community member of the week, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. We love hearing from members of the community, and we'd love to try and provide more value for you. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. Tony, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And everyone listening, have a wonderful week and keep on steady stacking.